America, I feel like I'm making these videos too much, but I mean, how much is enough? Like, it keeps going on. So America, it seems like it's capsizing in mental health, as they call it. I would say that it's not just America as well, based on what I've seen of other countries. They seem to have pretty much the same issue. You have people of protected demographics getting away with, in some cases, literal murder. In some other cases, they just get a slap on the wrist, maybe a little bit of prison time, or they go in and out of the system over and over again until they finally do something that gets them gunned down by the police, which is probably something that should have happened right from the get-go, but instead, all of the rules and regulations have protected them, often in the case of mental health, because usually someone who's crazy is the one who's the most violent. So here's this woman today, Noemi Guzman, 31, identified as a woman, but of course these days that just makes it all the more confusing. I don't know if they're a woman or not, but they look to me like some sort of gremlin. I mean, that looks like an actual fantasy gremlin there. And yes, that's a steak knife that they're holding. And yes, that is a 3-year-old boy in front of them. I don't know how exactly they got to this scenario where they were outside with the boy still in a empty shopping cart, or it looks like it has like a car muffler or something in it. I don't know what that is. And she has a shoplifted steak knife in her pajamas, which... Look, okay, the situation may not call for this conversation, but I think it kind of does. Just because it's Walmart doesn't mean you should be wearing your pajamas. And like my mind immediately says, well, at least she's not in booty shorts or something like that. At least she's not in a mini skirt or a crop top or something. But then I think, you know what? We can't be taking half measures here. I can't be saying, well, at least she's not in booty shorts. Taking yourself outside of your house, now you're presenting yourself to the world, and that's the way the world should look at you. This woman is a gremlin with red hair, and she's wearing pajamas out in Walmart. Like, everyone should have had their eyes on this lady the whole time. And instead, we are just sitting there like, yeah, that's just what you wear to Walmart, man. No big deal. No, but see, when we had a higher trust society and people dressed themselves appropriately to go outside, you see someone like this walking around, everyone would have clocked her instantaneously. Before she got to this point, everyone would have been looking at her with their hands on the holsters thinking, this bitch about to start something. And she did. She shoplifted a kitchen knife, which they probably clocked her on that immediately, but because you're not allowed to actually stop people from shoplifting anymore due to it being bad optics, due to it being dangerous, well, we wouldn't want our employees to be hurt while trying to stop a shoplifter. That looks bad for us, so and we don't want to pay the medical bills or anything, so instead we'll just let them steal thousands of dollars from the store, build up a case against them, and then have them arrested. Like, that mentality, they probably had her clocked from stealing that kitchen. I mean, where did she even keep the kitchen knife? In her vagina? Like, she probably was just grabbed it and walked straight out the store, and everyone saw her, and no one did anything about it because we have such a passive society now. Not long ago, people would have just dealt with this woman. The store would have dealt with this woman. And now... woman, I'm still not convinced. I mean, she might, I guess she's a female goblin. Like, I guess goblins, in some stories, goblins are all male. They need other species females to, well, that's getting off topic. I mean, she just looks so much, she's 31. That is a rough 31. I mean, damn. Anyway, she stole a knife from the store, somehow managed to get this kid in their shopping cart alone outside. I don't know how the hell that happened. And they say it's a kidnapping attempt. Does that look like a kidnapping attempt?
It shows the woman with the knife as police say she attempted to abduct the child. He had been with his caregiver in a Walmart when the woman approached with the knife. Police told her to drop it, and when she cut the boy, they opened fire.
He looked very scared. He looked like he obviously didn't know suspect, and looked like he was just very scared.
The boy suffered a cut on his face and hand. The woman did not survive. 2 years ago, she was accused of stabbing her father. She was found not responsible by reason of insanity.
Of fucking course she was. Not responsible by reason of insanity. 2 years ago, she stabbed her father, and she's walking free amongst the good people. And, you know, some other not good people, I guess. There has to be people just like her walking amongst us, of course. And why? Well, because she's insane. Well, she's insane, so let her walk free. She should have been... 2 years ago. But instead, she was allowed to walk free. She cut this 3-year-old boy's face and arm with a knife. Everyone saw this coming a mile away, but some people said, oh, but she's a woman, allegedly. Oh, but she's insane, allegedly. So, I mean, I can believe that she's insane after all this, but is that a reason to let her walk free after stabbing her father? I mean, what lunacy are we in here? Like, God, I was just listening to a story earlier about someone from the UK who, it was a group of people from the UK who murdered some young boy. Oh, he's like 20, but and then their father, his own father, was defending the people who did it to him, saying like, well, actually, it's the state's fault. And by state, I mean the government. It's like, what's wrong with you people? This is the fault of the people themselves and the people who enable them. That guy's father was one of the enablers. He was one of the people defending the murderous lunatics. I just can't get over this. And the story, oh God, the story. This kid, his father was I guess they were the kid's a preemie as well, and they were taking him outside on Wednesday. I don't know when this exactly happened. It's just a few days ago, but they were taking him outside, and the kid said that they didn't want to go outside because it was scary. And the father said that broke my heart, and the kid asked him if he'd carry them when they went outside. I mean, how pathetic is that, man? Like, this woman should have been dealt with 2 years ago, and now there's a 3-year-old boy who's been slashed twice, who's traumatized, probably gonna have scars from it, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's probably a sharp knife. Maybe it'll heal fine, but this is probably a core memory for him, right? Like, I mean, on one hand, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe he's going to grow up knowing that there are crazy people and that you should carry a gun, which I don't know what situation the parents were in here. Like, I don't know what exactly happened, but I feel like this woman was probably clocked. Well, I know she was 2 years ago, but someone else probably had her on their radar, and it got to this scenario, and luckily, the cops were there, or they were close enough to respond before anything more serious happened. But imagine you're 3 years old and this happens to you. That's got to become a core memory. Like, it's just gonna like occasionally unlock in your mind, and you're gonna be like, oh, that's right, that happened. I mean, it's horrible to be afraid of going outside when you're 3 years old and needing your dad to carry you because you're terrified that some mad bitch is gonna come slash you up. And you know, the sickest thing about it is that the cops. They did the right thing, obviously, and I'm sure it'll be fine. I mean, how can you look at the pictures of that and the video of that and then not think that it's completely justified what they did? But because whenever a person dies while being apprehended by law enforcement or in custody, the case is escalated and presented to a grand jury. What a waste of resources. Look at this picture. You tell me that needs to be escalated to a grand jury. Dude, that should have happened instantaneously, like before the kid was slashed. The parents should have been carrying a weapon. They should have done this before the cops even showed up. Like, it should have been done 2 years ago. Escalating this to a grand jury. Get out of here. Why are we suffering these people? Who exactly enabled such a weak legal system? I mean, you could say, okay, it's derived from wokeness. Wokeness is derived from feminism. Feminism is derived from liberalism. Liberalism is derived from France. So let's just blame the French. Okay, yes, we all want to blame the French. It makes us feel good, yes, and they do deserve it. They deserve a lot of blame for a lot of things, but it doesn't really fix the problem. I want to fix the problem. We need to just... like, I've seen so many cop cams. Honestly, anyone who's watched at least 10 cop cams of just... Not necessarily stuff like this. That's a bit extreme, but even just people being normally arrested. You just watch 10 of them, and you will immediately think, okay, cops need to have way less rules and regulations restricting them. Like, the crap that they have to deal with, it's unbelievable. I don't know how they don't lose their minds. I don't know how you don't just have, like, every second of every day, you'd think there'd be a cop murdering somebody based off of this, because I don't know how they deal with it. I don't know how they don't lose their minds. These people are legitimately crazy. They just scream like animals, commanding the police, telling the police that, actually, I make the rules. I'm a sovereign citizen, whatever. They're all lunatics. There are so many people who should not be allowed to operate heavy machinery, shouldn't be allowed to drive a car, shouldn't be allowed to have children, shouldn't be allowed to vote, shouldn't be allowed to have a knife or a weapon or of any kind. That they need to be on Factory Island. So, going from that story, which is, again, it's about someone who should have been dealt with 2 years ago, but was allowed to be freed because of mental health or whatever other excuse you want to apply to it. This is the former Virginia Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax, who recently took his wife into the basement and executed her, and then aced himself as well. Now, this guy had a lot going on. Apparently, he was the second black person in the entire history of the USA to be the Lieutenant Governor of Virginia. And then he had been accused of abusing two women before in the past. I don't know when exactly that happened, but he had been accused of abusing two different women recently. And the Democrats called for him to resign, and he wouldn't, so yada, yada, yada. Then there was, in January of this year, I think, there was a domestic call to their house where he alleged that his wife, I don't know who made the call, but he alleged that his wife assaulted him, but the cameras that were set up kind of suggested otherwise. So clearly there was issues between this guy and his wife that he had been with 19 years. I mean, that's pretty crazy. I would assume that part of them breaking up might have been the allegations of him cheating on her or abusing other women or whatever, but their two teenage children were in the house when this guy did all of this. So clearly he just cracked, right? He must have just snapped under all the allegations, all the pressure, maybe being the second black lieutenant governor of Virginia, all the allegations against him, people calling him to resign, having children. He must have just snapped. And I don't know what exactly happened, obviously, but it's another, like, there was something going on beforehand, right? Back in January, the cops were called out, and like these situations are allowed to snowball, and I think it's a clear sign that we just have too many people who are too stressed out, and no one's doing anything about it. Like, no one's fixing the problem. Like, in video games, like Frostpunk is an example. They have an option in Frostpunk. Like, you have to give your people food. It's a city builder game. You have to give your people food, right? So if you have too little food, you can put sawdust in their meals, and then that stretches the food rations, which is probably a redundant thing to say, but it also raises their stress, and they also get sick a lot. But then if stress goes up too high, they riot and blah, 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 bad things happen. But at the same time, if you have a lot of food rations and you need to get rid of some stress, you can give them like soup's another way to stretch it out. You could just give them like double rations or whatever to de-stress them and to make them happier. We need some solutions here. Like, we need people to be de-stressed. So here's what I'm thinking. This guy lost his mind because of stress, right? This lady lost her mind just in general, right? You need stricter laws to take care of women like this, or people like this. They can't be given free passes after they've done something crazy. They need to be taken care of, ideally, before they've done something crazy. And a stricter society with harsher rules, harsher punishments, not censorship necessarily, but some more control. Like, people should not be afraid. Like, I mean, look at this right here. Like, why is that lady not on the ground in this picture? How could she even get to that point that you see in the picture? Like, it's because the cops, they're required to wait until the knife is embedded in somebody else before they can take action. And I guarantee you, it would be way worse if they weren't a cop, because they wouldn't have a body cam. There'd be no way to prove anything. Oh, yeah, I mean, she's laying there right next to the shoplifted kitchen knife, but, we don't know that she did anything. Like, I mean, I would have aced this lady before she stabbed the kid, or cut him, or sliced him, or whatever. But it's just crazy that it got to this point before anything happened. And I assume this is like one frame before it happened. That's my hope, is that they didn't wait for it to get worse before they finished her. But that's why it's gotten so bad. Our laws have become so strict that people can't do anything. The civilians, like, it's not necessarily that all the civilians are cowards, but they're afraid that they can't do anything because the government will punish them. They'll punish you for a hate crime or something. That's it. Infinity years in prison, and also you're registered as a sex offender because you stopped someone from mauling a woman on a bus. And that makes you an evil person, I guess. And people's hands are tied. They feel like they're ball gagged and they can't do anything. And those laws are just way, way, way too strict in the worst possible way. We do need strict laws, but the inverse of that. We need to be allowed to police, to some extent, people like this. And the police need to be allowed to do their jobs without as many restrictions. And then the result of that will be a higher trust society. But it will also be a more stressful society. People will feel the noose tightening a little bit. The collar's getting a little bit hot. They'll feel like they need some de-stressing, right? Like the sawdust in the soup. It's gonna ramp up the tensions a little bit, and people are gonna need a way to de-stress, like Fairfax needed very clearly. I mean, Fairfax seems to have made some problems of his own, like whatever he did with those women who were accusing him. But I think, like, in general, this guy just snapped. Like, the stress just got to him and he just broke. And there was probably a way to fix that before it happened, unlike with Crazy Gremlin Lady. And in this particular case, like, you need another system. Just like in video games, like in Frostpunk, you put sawdust in their soup, it stretches out the food, it raises their stress. Then you add in, well, I mean, in the video game, you add in like a bar or a brothel. You can even add in like dueling so people can settle their disputes with a duel, which honestly, I'm not opposed to. I'm not even opposed to the Roman Colosseum, as I've mentioned before. But something needs to happen to help people de-stress. And I don't think what we've got right now is really doing it. And I think, like, once upon a time it was. Like, once upon a time it was like Major League Baseball and NFL, the hearts of America, our greatest pastime or whatever. And it's not really the same anymore. Now people have so many varied things that they enjoy and hate at the same time. Honestly, one of the biggest pastimes for people these days seems to be watching doomer content on the internet. So that's probably like this. So that's probably not very helpful. But I think we need stricter rules, stricter laws for a higher trust society, and then that's going to build up stress. And then we need some way to de-stress, like some reasonable way to de-stress. And that will hopefully fix both of those problems as much as it can. You can never, nothing's ever going to be perfect, but you can only do so much. And right now it feels like we're doing so much in the wrong way. I mean, this woman, again, she stabbed her father 2 years ago, and they said, but she's crazy, so don't do anything to punish her. And then she's walking through Walmart in her pajamas and with dyed red hair, which doesn't mean she's crazy because it's Walmart. But that right there is a problem with our society. People shouldn't be just expected to walk around in their pajamas in public. And then she steals a knife, which they probably knew about. And then she walks outside and she slices a 3-year-old. And only after all of that's done are they allowed to punish her. And then they have to send all the evidence to a grand jury to make sure that she wasn't unjustly executed. Jesus, man. We are so cooked. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please do the YouTube things if you agree.